Guys, I totally misjudged and lost track of time today. So we're really hoping that the sun stays for a little bit because I did not put all this on just to have to refilm it tomorrow. So we're gonna get into it. It is going to be, hold on. Let's get comfy. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, yeah, that hip needs to be stretched out. Please ignore the empty picture frame, okay? I don't have the pictures yet that I've chosen, but they've been a stack on a table. And it's been bothering me, so I needed to just put them up so I felt better and like more accomplished. Anyways, okay. Getting into it now. We're gonna talk about my, God, what month was that? September. My September wrap. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's freaking, oh my gosh, I cannot believe it is already October. I'm so excited with fall vibes. I still need to go fall shopping. And at this point, I'm like, should I even? But we'll see how it goes. I should stop yapping because the sun's going down. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, also my August wrap got corrupted when I posted it. So, and I can't fix it apparently. I just can't figure it out. So there's not an August wrap. Sorry guys. Anyways, okay, let's get into what I read in September. Let's go. Starting off, I literally finished this like October 3rd, I believe. And this is the 4th book in the From Blood and Ash series. And y'all already know, I'm actually like obsessed with this series. But I sadly did have to take a seat back because this is my last physical book of that series. So I had to stop it because we're reading my physical TBR right now. But just know, right after my birthday, we're hopping back into this series immediately. I do have the audiobook for the 2nd book in the prequel series, and I've listened to like an hour of that this whole time. Just because like I want to like be able to dive in, like devour the rest of the book. So I really need to just take a second, finish this challenge, and then get to it. But oh my God, did I love this book. Obviously it's the 4th book of the series, so I'm not going to say any spoilers, but I highly recommend this series. A lot of my questions throughout the series got answered in this book. It did leave me with a few new questions, but that's okay. The clock restarted. Absolutely loved it. The world is just so atmospheric. Is that the word? Yeah. And the world building just keeps going, but that's not the main point. A huge part of this was definitely character development, and I didn't think we could develop more, but we did. And it was just great. The main characters are just so beautifully crafted, so deep. There's so many different things. Poppy annoys me every now and then, but not that much. But the side characters, oh my God, do the side characters just add so much to the freaking plot. We have Kieran's sister, Kieran, Reaver. I love little Reaver. Well, he's not little anymore. He's a grown man now. But I absolutely love the banter, the snark, the camaraderie, the found family. It's just so good. It's so good. What else do I have to say? I wrote down a few notes. When I ended this book, the way I was like, my mind has been absolutely blown. It was just twist after twist after twist, and it was so good. I was addicted to this book, and I just couldn't put it down half the time, or any time I had like 2 seconds, I was like, I need to pick this up. Now, sometimes I didn't, simply because I knew like a lot was about to happen, and I didn't want to be like, oh, it's on my 15, I'll read it for 15, when it's like this big thing and it's all I think about for hours. So there was times like that. So I recommend like sitting down for a long time and reading it. I think it would have hit even harder, and I've been trying to do that more. It's like reading for a longer period of time instead of like little here and there's. But it was absolutely action-packed. And for the plot twist, yes, I saw a few plot twists coming, but not a lot. My mind was still, like I said, absolutely blown. It was so good. Yep, that's it. Yay! Oh my gosh, highly recommend. Okay, now on to our next book. This is going to be a little controversial for some people. And before I start, I'm going to say, guys, I do love Emily Henry. I do. The other book, I think it's only one other book that I've read by her, but I absolutely loved it. However, this one was a miss for me. Now, I'm thinking maybe I will try it at another point in time, but right now it's a miss. I was listening to the audiobook and it had me really invested in the beginning. Oh wait, before I go into it, I should probably just show you Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So in the beginning, it definitely snagged me into the book. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is great. Yada, yada, yada. Who doesn't love a rival's romance? Like, who doesn't? I'm sure there are some people, and that's okay, but like, I'm saying. So I absolutely loved Nora, but here's the thing. If it was advertised a little bit differently to me, like on social media and all that, a lot of people was like, this is great romance, da da da. I was expecting this big, huge romance. I personally didn't get any of that. I felt like the most powerful relationship in this entire book was the sisterhood. And I wish it was kind of more advertised as that. Like, this is about sister love, family traumas, and how that impacts who you are. And I know that's typically like what she kind of writes into her books, but I felt like the romance was such a backseat the entire time until the ending. So I personally wouldn't put it as that. And because of that, because that's kind of how it's said in the back, how it's been advertised on social media, that I would say this book was a 3.5 stars or like a 3.75, because I did enjoy it, but because of that, I just was like, where are we going in the story? Like, what's going on? I couldn't care less about the romance, and then that made me just not want to pick up the book. It made me not be able to care about her and her sister. Like, it was just, guys, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And then the random cowboy, why are you here? Why are you here? Go away. Go away. Shoo, 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 shoo. That's how I felt. And also, like, this was a love story to, like, New York at the same time. It wasn't even the people. I just couldn't care about the couple. So maybe that was just me. I might try it again one day. Y'all should try to convince me. I'm easy to convince of a lot of stuff in books. I should probably clarify that. Anyway, that's that one. And then next, okay. Guys. I wasn't really happy about this book. And I trudged through the audiobook, and that's saying something. I put it on the fastest speed I've ever had a book at. I don't remember what it was, but I remember it going fast as hell, because I just couldn't care. I literally could not care, and I'm so sorry. But it might just be because it's a YA. Maybe I'm aging out of YA. So I'm kind of trying to see if that's what's going on here. But I just didn't care about anything that happened in this book. Not a single thing. And I'm so sorry to say that's about Bonecryer's Moon. I was really excited about this book years ago, and maybe if I did read it then, this would have been way higher for me and like such a better reading experience, but it just wasn't for me, and I'm really sorry. But I gave it a 2.5 because it wasn't terrible, but I wasn't enjoying myself. So because I wasn't enjoying myself, I cannot, in good conscience, give it a 3 stars. I had to give it a 2.5 because yes, this world was great. The relationships were very much there, but I just couldn't care. I couldn't care. At one point, I was listening to it and I was just like, I'm just gonna zone this out. But then I went back because you can't do that. You can't do that. And then count it as something you read. Unless you DNF it. And because it's a physical book, right now I am not DNFing because I'm not wasting time. I am getting that money for the book haul thing, for the shopping spree. So I finished it. Yeah, don't recommend pushing yourself through a book, but yeah. So then next, I hate to say it again, I had to push myself through it. I enjoyed it a lot more than the other ones, but I enjoyed it more than the other ones, but that's partly because it's smutty. Sorry, not sorry, because that's how I feel. And this one was highly anticipated for me. I have read one other book by Penelope Douglas, Credence, which is very taboo, and it kind of introduced me into that. So I was like, ooh, I kind of like her. So I wanted to check her out again and look at another book, and that was Birthday Girl. And I was sadly a little disappointed. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Pike and Jordan's relationship. I really think they melded well together despite their age gap. It was the way they communicated that kind of hurt. Pike, you're a 30-year-old father. You should have a bit more, like, know your traumas, know how to communicate, not be a prick, you know? Pike is a prick. That's basically what I got from this, but I absolutely loved him. He just could not communicate like an adult, okay? It was very upsetting, and immediately he would have been like, ooh, that was bad. That was bad of me to do. I have to apologize, which I loved. I loved that he was like, oh, trauma's getting to me again. My past relationships and my experiences with those are getting to me, so I need to not do that. So he would rectify the situation, but maybe we shouldn't have done it in the first place. That's all I'm saying. Jordan, I get that she's 19, and I get that Pike is saying things that are kind of stupid as fuck, all right? It does not mean we need to be a child. Stop being childish. She's literally like, she dumped a milkshake into the washer on some bedding. Who? A full milkshake in the washer. That's like 5 cleaning cycles to get all of it out. That's what's happening in my head. I'm like, that is absolutely disgusting. And then she slams the door, and then she slams this around, and she slams this around, and she's like blaring her music and all that. And I'm like, sis, can we calm down? What are we doing? What are you doing? You need to take a chill pill, all right? You're trying to show him that you're not this child because you're 19. You're not too young. And yet we're doing that? I think their emotional maturity also, went well together because of this whole thing. And that's why I kind of didn't like it. It's like, yeah, there's this age gap, but your emotional maturity is right next to each other. I'm just saying. For a grown man, you should have learned more about yourself, especially since you spend all your time alone, apparently. Her boyfriend, because this is I probably didn't say that. Probably should. This is an age gap romance of her boyfriend's dad and her. Ooh, spicy. So the boyfriend, very important, but also not important. But I enjoyed the scenes that he was there, except for that one where it's like, whoopsies, you should not have seen that, and I'm so sorry you did, my girl. But yeah, that was really interesting. It was a very interesting book. But at the end I was like, can we just be done? Like, one more smut scene and then we're done, right? Can we be done? So because of that, this was a 3-star. Oh, and my biggest pet peeve, before I freaking forget, God, these birds are going crazy. Before I forget, my biggest pet peeve that took me out of this book immediately and made me say like, ugh, ugh. Little girl. That was probably not a very pretty face, but if you say girl, kid, kiddo, or little girl one more time, I was about to just the book across the room, because I'm not supposed to be DNFing it right now. That's the goal, is not to DNF, but if you say it one more time, Pike, we're about to just DNF your ass. I just couldn't do it. Yeah. Birthday Girl, 3 stars. Because I did enjoy it. Like, a good majority I did, but those things, like, tanked the rating for it. And I did kind of enjoy it, like, more than these. So, like, if I were to put them in order, you know, least, middle. Like, these are... So, actually, I'm going to change this to a 3.5. And this is a 3. So, that's what we'll do. Ta-da! Okay. Now... for the part that I'm like most excited for to tell y'all about. I finally finished Crescent City. I didn't finish the entire series yet. Okay, so don't get excited yet. But I finished book 1. And I finished book 2. Oops. Look at how cute they are. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm loving this universe. I don't want to leave. These are my new besties. I don't want to leave at all. I'm wondering if I'm cringing all out right now. I don't care. I don't care if I am, because I'm absolutely loving this. The found family. No one can convince me that Sarah J. Maas does not do found family right. They just can't. They really, really can't. Because it's all, like, the banter, the relationships, the trauma, it all blends. The personalities just blend so well into these found families. It's not always just circumstance and, like, all this stuff. Like, I actually feel, like, real, and that I'm thankful that these people found each other. That is how emotionally, like, connected I felt to them. Almost cried in this book. I actually did cry in this one. And I know some of y'all might be like, that's not a lot. Book readers cry all the time. It's not a flex, okay? Emotionally repressed. Let's be honest. But it's not a flex because it's very hard to make me cry in a book. It's very hard to make me teary-eyed. Part of that I will also say because I don't sit down for a long period of time to read. And these are definitely books that I recommend doing that. And I wish I did that more. I did it for this one a lot more. And I only did it to this one when we got to like the last 3 to 200 pages. But I wish I did it more because I definitely would have gotten more emotional. I need to stop doing that. Can you tell that I'm so excited about these? How many pages? 1,600 pages I read. I don't think I've ever read like this much in 1 month. And I'm so proud of myself. Also, it was the help of the audiobooks. Okay, I did use the audiobooks a little bit because your girl has to have her space to be clean, and she lives with a messy boy and 2 dogs, and she also gets distracted because she has ADHD. Which I'm actually might be getting better at. Might be going on meds, so hopefully that helps. It's starting to get dark, so I'm going to try to finish this really quick. But Crescent City, 5 out of 5 stars. I was like, where the fuck is this plotline going? But where it went was just so je ne sais quoi, if you will. I don't know if I said that correctly, so let me know. But it was so good, and I just felt so attached. Just a poor baby Bryce. I do have some quotes that I did share in a TikTok, but I wish to share with y'all. I didn't do this for the second book because I was worried about spoilers, but you know, in the reading vlog I might do that. So no spoilers. Did you figure out what kind of demon did it? Rune said something that likes to eat little princes for breakfast. That's kind of how I imagine Hunt saying it. Okay. I heard you're one hell of a ride when you paused the brooding long enough. It's so cute. Close your eyes, Danica. And now this is another scene with Rune, Bryce, and Hunt. By the way, that trio I absolutely love, but the other characters that get added later on. Ethan, when he comes in, I'm like, and then Cormac. This is, okay, so this is Rune, Hunt, and Bryce talking. And they're somewhere with Rune. I don't know. I can't remember. And I'm also worried it's a spoiler since I now do remember. Anyway, we're joined at the hip now, unfortunately for you. Best friends. The bestest, Hunt echoes. Them two are menaces to society, and I love it. I love it. None of that, beastie. It's not cringy when you know the scene. It's cringy when you don't know the scene. I promise it's not cringy when you do know the scene. Ugh, I can't. It's the most one that I'm pretty sure is a spoiler, so I won't be telling y'all. Only sorrow lay there, and something like understanding, like she saw him as he seen her in that shooting gallery, marked every broken shard and didn't mind the jagged pieces. Under the table, the toe of her high heel brushed against his boot, a little confirmation that yes, she saw his guilt, the pain, and she wouldn't shy away from it. His chest tightened. No one likes a narc, Athalar. I am a narc. Dude, I swear that scene sent me. It was so funny. Just Hunt's reactions to the whole scene was so funny. Are you gonna summon it with its unholy number then? Like some sort of ancient email address? Funny. You look how I feel every day. You brought her back to life. I believe it happened for a reason. I believe it all happened for a reason. I believe it wasn't for nothing. Light it up. Through all, love is possible. That's all of them. It's so dark in here, so I feel like it's different from earlier. Sorry guys, I will try to brighten it in the video. But again, just to recap, also 5 stars and another 5 stars. This one definitely hit a lot harder. Obviously, it's the second book in the sequel, or not sequel, I'm doing it again. Trilogy. There we go. So I understand the third book is like another 800 pages, but I want to be in the world, so obviously I'm going to read it, but I'm going to be really sad to leave it, and especially because I don't remember when the next ACOTAR book is. I think it's next year in 2026. So yeah. But, alright. So we have Crescent City, House of Blood and... Nope. House of Sky and Breath. House of Blood and Earth, or Earth and Blood. God damn it. Let's try this again. Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath. House of Earth and Blood. Bonecryer's Moon. Birthday Girl. I love how my face is just slowly disappearing. Book Lovers. And last, but certainly not least, A War of Two Queens. So, look at how pretty. Okay, so we finished, how many books is that? 6 books in September. I forgot what month it was again. In September, I am so excited to continue this and continue this challenge. Guys, we're at 11 books in the challenge. I'm so excited. But all right, that is all from me. Bye, guys. Okay, guys, I totally lied. I put on the lamps, which definitely help. I decided to go ahead and show y'all what I read in August and just do like a quick thing since that video got corrupted. First off, we have A Shadow in the Ember. This is the first book of the prequel series, Flesh and Fire, from the Blood and Ash universe. So this is the prequel that ties in to the Blood and Ash series, gives you a lot of background of the history. And when I tell you, I loved this book. This is the first book in the series, and it was immediately a 5 stars for me. Now, I will account part of that being that it's already in a universe that I'm loving very deeply, but I think it stands on its own really well. The execution is very different for this book than Poppy and Cass's story, and I just loved it so much. And weirdly enough, I actually love it more than Cass and Poppy's books. You heard me right. This is it. And I've heard that that is a popular theme. So, not too odd, but I definitely love Sarah and Nyktos more. I think her name is Sarah. It's like Seraphina, which I love that name, but I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Everything was 5 stars this month, so this is 5 stars, and it was everything. The characters, the plot, the setting, just everything about it, and it answered a lot of my questions that I've been having about the Blood and Ash series. So for me, that was so like just what's the word I'm looking for? So not exciting. I don't know. I was just so happy that I got the answers to a lot of my questions, and I really enjoyed having that. Sarah and Nyktos though, mwah! Oh my gosh, I love them so much. Surprisingly, I actually love them more than Poppy and Cass, which is surprising because I really do like Poppy and Cass together. They definitely give me soulmate vibes, and not purely because of, you know, surface level reasons. Like, I feel like they definitely have that deep connection, and I just love it. However, for Sarah and Nyktos, it was kind of like Sarah was the morally gray one. And yes, Nyktos he's a god, he's old, like there's gonna be decisions that he's made in his life that he's not proud of and that are morally gray. But Sarah is human, from what, like, she's mortal, but from like her character's life, you see why she's morally gray, why she is more willing to make dangerous decisions and put herself in harm's way. I am going to read the synopsis really quick for those that don't know, because August wrap-ups are basically their recommendations, trying to tell you like, hey, I really like this book and all that. So I think that I'm going to start reading the synopsis when I talk about the books, but I wanted to give you like a little bit real quick of what I think. And then when we go into more of the nitty gritty, without spoiling anything, I promise, but give that background, that synopsis, kind of pull you in a little bit more and give you a little bit more foresight in why I enjoyed the book and what I'm talking about. So here we go. Born shrouded in the veil of the primals, a maiden as the fates promised, Seraphina Morel's future has never been hers. Chosen before birth to uphold the desperate deal her ancestors struck to save his people, Sarah must leave behind her life and offer herself to the primal of death as his consort. However, Sarah's real destiny is the most closely guarded secret in all of Lysera, I think. She is not a well-protected maiden, but an assassin with one mission, one target. Make the primal of death fall in love, become his weakness, and then end him. If she fails, she dooms her kingdom to a slow demise at the hands of the rot. Sarah has always known what she is: chosen, consort, assassin, weapon, a spectator never fully formed but drenched in blood, a monster. Until him, the primal of death's unexpected words and deeds chase away the darkness gathering inside her, and his seductive touch ignites a passion she never allowed herself to feel and can't feel for him. But Sarah has never had a choice. Either way, her life is forfeit and has always been, as she has been forever touched by life and death. So when I'm talking about Sarah being morally gray and all that, as what I just read, like, her life, she's known her life is forfeit. Her life seriously doesn't matter until she's accomplished her her thing, and then she's most likely going to die from her mission. So she's willing to put herself in dangerous situations because she's like, I just don't care, because there's nothing to care about. I'm going to die, and I'm going to die young. So I'm going to do what I want to do. And honestly, I get it. I understand that. Well, so like I said, there are a lot of similarities between Cass, Poppy, Nyktos, and Sarah. Nyktos, however, I would say he's a bit more brooding and like an older soul. And I just don't know why. I just loved him so much more than Cass. I think it's because we're not in that phase where Nyktos is currently obsessed with Sarah. He simply is seeing her as someone that he does like and wants to protect, because apparently she won't protect herself. So he's like, I'm gonna have to do it for you. I think it's funny how he does get people to watch her, because he's like, she's willing, like she doesn't care about her life, so someone's gonna have to watch her. And she's like, guys, it's like y'all think I'm just gonna do whatever and like I'm willing to put myself in danger. That's not true. And then as soon as they turn away, she's off and putting herself in danger. She's like, haha, bitches didn't see what I was thinking, kind of thing. And I think it's really hilarious to see that kind of snark. I wouldn't really say it's banter quite yet, but it's like a snarky banter, and I really, really do enjoy it. Ooh, something that I definitely think Sarah, she alludes to a lot of, I'm gonna call it grooming. Now I might be incorrect here, and if y'all think so, like, let me know. Let's talk about this. That would be great. But I think she was groomed by her family. She does mention learning the art of seduction and all of that. But in this way of grooming, I mean that her family has made it very clear, besides her stepsister, we love the stepsister. Her family has made it very clear that she does not matter unless she does what she is destined to do. And before then and until then, she is quite literally nothing. It's really in the after that they're like, we hate you, you're worthless, you're useless, we're just gonna completely ignore you. So the mental neglect is really big, but it's in grooming in the way of that she thinks that she can only act in a certain way, she can only be a certain way and all this stuff, and she's just trying so hard for someone to like care, that that's all her mindset is in the beginning. And when that falls apart, you kind of see that there is just the slightest bit of a switch where just no one is like, you just don't matter. And it was really heartbreaking to like see that stuff, and it feeds into her mindset. You kind of see her journey into figuring out more for herself, her worth and all that stuff. And that like, and it's not just Nyktos that does that, it's more than just Nyktos. And you see these connections that she's building and these relationships that she's growing that she has never had the fortune of growing. Jadis and Reaver, they're just cute little baby dragons. Well, Draken, but they are definitely one of my favorite parts of the book. Every time they pop up, I love Reaver and Jadis. However, so Draken when they're young are mostly in their Draken form because that's their more natural form. Their mortal form is like a secondary. That's what they were gifted, not their original form. So when they grow up, they're more likely to be in their Draken form. So we don't really see them as human kids quite a bit, and that was very interesting. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. It is one of my favorite books so far of this year, and I can't wait to get into A Light in the Flame, which is the next book, and that is on my September TBR. So if y'all want to go check that out, y'all should check out that video. Y'all want to know something random? We left our puppy out for a couple hours to see how she would do by herself, because she does have very destructive tendencies. So we put a lot of treats out, we put a lot of toys for her to play with, like mental engagement toys. She still destroyed stuff, and I sadly did not put one of my books away properly, but I forgot that I left this book out. And so you see the front, this was actually from me, and then the little damage up here is actually from me as well. But if you turn it around, so my boyfriend's gonna buy me a new book, but I'm reading it on Kindle. So we are progressing in our physical TBR, and this will be counting, but it has officially been damaged. Now I've had this thing for I have had it for about 4 to 5 years. It kind of hurts that it's destroyed, but you know, life happens, and that's the mistake I made. But next book that we read, also a 5-star for nostalgia. What else? The series connection, the love of the original game, the nostalgia of it, and the connections between all of the books. that it created, and that is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is Hamish Abernathy's story, and let's listen to the synopsis, and then I'll tell you my thoughts. So, when you've been set up to lose everything you love, what is there left to fight for? As the dawn breaks on the 50th annual Hunger Games, fear grips the districts of Panem. This year, in honor of the Quarter Quell, twice as many tributes will be taken from their homes. Back in District 12, Hamish Abernathy is trying not to think too hard about his chances. All he cares about is making it through the day and being with his girl he loves. When Hamish's name is called, he can feel all of his dreams break. He's torn between his family and torn from his family and his love, shuffled to the capital with 3 other District 12 tributes, a young friend who's nearly a sister to him, a compulsive odds maker, and the most stuck-up girl in town. As the games begin, Hamish understands that he is set up to fail, but there is something in him that wants to fight, and that fight reverberates far beyond the deadly arena. 5 stars. Hamish at the beginning of the story, I found this really funny. He knows how to make white liquor, which is what we know he later becomes addicted to. He becomes an alcoholic. So I found it hilarious how he knows how to make it. And so originally I had thought, like, I was like, oh, wasn't he forced to go sober? But I couldn't remember if it was during Catching Fire or if it was during while they were at District 13. It was probably at District 13 where he was like kind of forced to be sober. But I was like, you know what? Whenever there was a shortage or anything, and I think Katniss makes a comment in Catching Fire, and that's why I thought it was that, where she was like, since the Hob had been destroyed, I don't know where he's getting it. I think. I might be wrong. But I was like, it connected in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, he could be making it and like saving his money for that. But I found that really funny. And it's not a spoiler, it's literally right in the beginning. So this is not a spoiler because obviously, like, we know he gets reaped into the Hunger Games. So I deeply think it was illegal. If that pulls you into the book a little bit, then use that. Read the book. That's all I'm gonna say. Plutarch Heavenby, he does make an appearance, and that man's a manipulative, but for the rebellion side, and I loved seeing it. I love seeing that he knew how to play the game of the Capitol, and he knew how to stay safe and play up his act, where it actually ended up helping the rebellion. He definitely saw a vision to use the media as a way of building resentment within the Capitol, and I really enjoyed that. But in the Capitol's eyes, because they're arrogant and all that stuff, it would be seen as, oh, he's actually helping the Capitol. But the way he does it is actually infuriates the districts more. And I really, really thought that imagery of him helped the story so much when he did show up and encourage the plot line on and encourage Hamish as well. He definitely manipulates Hamish a little bit. I don't think it's very obvious, but it's where he like encourages him to be like, fight the district, you know, kind of go against them. And I really enjoyed seeing that during this book. It made me very emotional and all that stuff. So it is an emotional read if you hold Hunger Games very close to your heart, which I personally do. And there was just so many connections between the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and the Hunger Games. Now, if I'm being completely honest with myself, it would go Sunrise on the Reaping, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and then the Hunger Games trilogy. Let me explain why A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes would be second. It is only because seeing the mind change was something that I found very fascinating. But realistically, the other way I deeply feel about it is Hamish, Katniss, Snow. Like, their books in that order. But just The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, it's crazy that the author made me hate him so much. So I have to give props for that. And it's the fact of watching that mindset just slowly turn. The Sweetheart nickname broke me a little bit because if anyone knows, he calls Katniss Sweetheart. And the girl that he went to the games with, Luella, was like a little sister to him. It says it in the thing. And so every time he calls her sweetheart, and you get to know her more and see how Haymitch sees her, you see why he connected Luella and Katniss together. Though they are a little bit different, but you see why he connected them together and why he saw Luella in Katniss when he met Katniss. Beetee and his son. That storyline made me cry. Well, obviously, like I just said, it didn't actually make me cry, but it made me very emotional, very upset. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. Maisley, I have no evidence for this, but I think her grandma is Maude Ivory. But that doesn't, or like her mom maybe, I don't know. But her mom definitely, I feel like, was a part of the clan. The, what are they called? Covey tribe. I have no evidence. Ages don't line up. I just liked having that mindset. I don't know why. But you see the Mockingjay pin for the first time, which is crazy that it shows an appearance. But I loved her. She really did grow on me. Because you definitely see Haymitch's annoyance of her. I'm gonna say annoyance, not hatred. So you automatically are pretty biased. But she grows on you so much because she is that person that's like, they're not going to use me. I'm not going to let them use me. She does play a major role in Haymitch's character later in his life due to a quote that she says that she doesn't really have like a mirror character, I think. So I'm gonna say like Luella and Katniss are kind of mirror characters in very special ways. And then we have Welly and Rue. Welly is someone that Haymitch tried to save, like Katniss, and you see that parallel between the two, and you see them definitely as Katniss and Haymitch as protectors of other kids, other tributes. Lenore Dove. She is a Covey member. So you see a lot of the Coveys kind of show up, and I love that. And it's kind of funny how she does know about Lucy Gray Baird, but she refuses to talk about her. So I found that very interesting. But she was definitely Haymitch's reason and purpose besides wanting to rebel. And I really liked her character. It was very good. She was definitely a driving force for Haymitch, and I really loved seeing that from him. Like seeing how compassionate, how loving, how different he is, because he did get seriously traumatized and hurt by that, and that changed everything about him because she was everything to him as well as his family and stuff. So you see like his progress and how he changes and keeps her in his mind always. Now we are going to get into the third book I read this month, the third 5-star book. And this was just pure vibes. To be completely honest, it was just pure vibes, and I loved it so much. This book was such a good romance. Sorry, I was doing this and it was making me think of Friends. This book was such a good romance that I loved it. And that is An Offer from a Gentleman, Bridgerton. This is by Julie Quinn. Highly recommend. Love this series so far. This is the third book in the series, and I cannot wait to get my hands on Collins. But again, I don't have the physical book, so it's not part of this challenge, so I can't read it yet. Literally, I think me going to the store is literally just going to be me buying the rest of the series of the books I want. I seriously think it's going to be that. Which is fine. But, you know, yeah. Anyways. I'm so happy, guys. I'm so happy. I love this book. I loved it. Okay, let me calm down. I'm starting to get zoomies. Okay. I love Benedict and Sophie, okay? Now, obviously there's some things that annoyed me. I also wish his artistry It is mentioned in this book, but not as much as it is in like season 2 with Anthony and his drawings and like his artistic world. That's not really shown in this book. Well, obviously the book's more accurate. It's not in the book. I wish it was, because he's so good. From what Sophie describes, I really was like, oh my gosh, this man's amazing. I wish it showed more. So that was something I felt. And Sophie does kind of spill the tea about it a little bit. And that's kind of funny. But that's pretty much it. It's like mentioned twice. And I'm like, give this guy a little bit more personality. Like, what's his goals in life? And stuff like that. Because you're like, in the beginning of the book, it's literally all about, oh, he's only known as the second Bridgerton and all that stuff. And that's like what people call him. They don't even call him Benedict. And I'm like, okay, but then you're not going to give him a big personality trait, goals, accomplishments, anything like that. Anyways, still loved it. That is my only problem with Benedict, and that's not even his fault. So this is definitely a Cinderella retelling though. So heads up if you don't like Cinderella, which if you don't, you're crazy. Sorry. But I love Cinderella personally, so I loved this book. Sophie is the bastard of an earl. Actually, let me just read the back. We've been reading excerpts. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Sophie Beckett has never dreamed she'd be able to sneak into Lady Bridgerton's famous masquerade ball, or that Prince Charming would be waiting for her. Though the daughter of an earl, Sophie has been relegated to the role of servant by her disdainful stepmother. But now, spinning in the strong arms of the debonair and devilishly handsome Benedict Bridgerton, she feels like royalty. At last, she knows all enchantments must end when the clock strikes midnight. Ever since that magical night, a radiant vision of silver has blinded Benedict to the attractions of any other, except perhaps this alluring and oddly familiar beauty dressed in housemaid's garb, whom he felt compelled to rescue from the most disagreeable situation. He has sworn to find and wed his mysterious miss, but this breathtaking maid has made him weak with wanting her. Yet, if he offers his heart, will Benedict sacrifice his only chance for a fairy tale love? It's a very complicated Cinderella retelling, and I just loved every second of it, except for that disagreeable situation, which I would definitely call it that, if not more. Another thing, Posey. Okay. If anybody has ever watched Cinderella 2, 1, highly recommend, even if you're an adult. 2, why have you never watched it? And 3, Posey reminds me of Anastasia so much. Low-key, I love Anastasia. Always have. Because I don't think she really had a mean bone in her body. That's just what she was told to do and how she was told to act, I feel like. And that definitely shows in Cinderella 2. So I really enjoyed her character and her character growth. But yeah. Like I said, Sophie is a bastard of an earl and shows the possible life of a bastard in those times with a father who's willing to take responsibility. So not just like a bastard that he's like, I don't give a fuck. It's a bastard that he takes as his ward. And no one talks about the fact that it's his bastard, but everyone knows. And she grows up with that like mindset of like, I know what I am, but no one will say who I am. And you know, eventually she's turned into basically a servant by the stepmother. And the stepmother is just a horrible person. And she's obsessed with shoes, which is interesting and weird, and does also shockingly like play into the shoe part of like the slipper part of Cinderella. So that was really funny. The main characters are very 3D, and it's funny because you see the stepmother become 3D later on in the book because Sophie confronts her. Well, they confront each other. And so you kind of see her become 3D and understand her intentions and her feelings and all of that stuff. I loved that at the ball they're, you know, dancing and all that, and I think they look into each other's eyes. They say something, and Sophie's like, "I see your soul," and that's the moment spell breaks, and Benedict falls for her. Like, that's the moment they fall for each other, and it was so cheesy, but I believed it full-heartedly. I believe that they looked into each other's eyes and they saw each other's souls, kind of feeling. So it was so nice. Violet Bridgerton in this book, 3D to the max. Mama Bear coming out. All right. I loved Violet. I love Violet so freaking much. I love. All right, now here I'm gonna try to read some quotes that don't spoil. Ready? Oh my gosh, this was hilarious. "Yes, you were," she replied in an angry voice, and then she turned her heel, and in a split second before she stalked away, he realized he only had one way to stop her. By the way, he's on the ground. He certainly wasn't going to make it to his feet without anything resembling speed in his current befuddled state. So he reached out and grabbed one of her ankles with both of his hands, sending her sprawling onto the ground next to him. It wasn't a particularly gentleman maneuver, but beggars couldn't be choosers, and besides, she had thrown the first punch. When I say I crackled, when I read that, I crackled, okay? How he finds out her identity, Julia Quinn, you're a genius. Who would have thought of that? But yeah, the last book we read in August is a book that I've had on my TBR for literal years. Girl told me that I would sob with this book, and honestly, if I wasn't so emotionally repressed, I'm kidding. If I cried more often nowadays, I probably would have sobbed through this entire book. It did make me teary-eyed at the end, but nothing like was falling, so I couldn't consider that crying. Another 5-star book, and it's simply because it is a very touching book, and that is The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. Highly recommend this book. It is 200 pages, really fast read, and so deep despite that. And the way it's written, you wouldn't think it got deep, but it got deep. So let's read the synopsis. It's a very long synopsis for a very short book. From the author of the phenomenal you know what? I'm not going to read any of that. Eddie is a grizzled war veteran who feels trapped in the toils of his father before him, fixing the rides of the Seaside Amusement Park. As the park has changed over the years from the loop-de-loop and the pipeline plunge, so too has Eddie changed. From the optimistic youth to the embittered old age, his days are a dual routine of work, loneliness, and regret. Even on his 83rd birthday, Eddie dies in a tragic accident trying to save a little girl from a falling cart. With his final breath, he feels 2 small hands in his, and then nothing. He wakes in the afterlife, where he learns that heaven is not a lush garden of Eden, but a place where your earthly life is explained to you by 5 people who were in it. These people may have been loved ones or distant strangers, yet each of them changed your path forever. One by one, Eddie's 5 people illustrate the unseen connections in his earthly life. As the story builds to a stunning conclusion, Eddie desperately seeks redemption in the still unknown last act of his life. Was it a heroic success or a devastating failure? The answer, which comes the most unlikely sources, is a magical... Oh, it's on the other side. Oops. An inspirational glimpse of heaven itself. In The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, this novel, original story that changes everything you thought about the afterlife, which the meaning of life on earth, and embraces, they call it, the book is a gift to the soul. And that is from The Woman That Reads Tuesdays with Maureen. Anyways. So, as I said, he's a bittered old man working at this amusement park, and a tragic accident happens that takes his life. Now, in the beginning, it counts down, like, the time until he dies. And you kind of see his life through that, his inner thoughts. and all of that, which adds so much later on to the book. But like it said, everything is interconnected. It even shows people from his life that never met him, never had any connection to him or anything like that. And you see how their life changed his life. Like every choice you make does affect people around you or people that you don't even know. And it was very interesting to see. There is talks of the exchanges of life. Like, I'm very curious what happens. It's also being a big history person. Like you see all these different cultures and how they embrace death and the ritual of death and like all this stuff and what the afterlife looks like. So it makes me very curious of what it is. What's going to be like. My biggest fear is that it's pitch black and everything's basically pulled away from you. And then I believe in reincarnation in a way that if you choose to go back, you can. Obviously not to yourself, but it's scary to me to think that like my boyfriend, someone I care about a lot and I don't want to ever like leave, knowing that I don't get to stay with him. I don't get to build that life with him. Like that scares me. Or like having that life and still having to leave. Like that's my person. I want to stay with my person. I want to stay with my people, my dogs, my family. But like going into a blank world, like I know I would most likely want to choose reincarnation despite my mental health issues. I would most likely want to live again. Because yeah, life is crazy and life is all that, but like I do have some regrets in my life. I do wish I did things differently, but I have those regrets from the life I'm currently living. Like when I go again, how do I know I'm going to be any different? And what if I want to stay? Like I have to wait for the people for them to pass. Like that's scary to me. So seeing and not knowing my life's purpose is my biggest fear, because most of the time and still to this day, I just feel like I'm wandering and I'm just here. Like I wish my goals were like travel, connection, people, but I'm tired like 95% of the time. Like I am so mentally up here and like my body is just not healthy. So just it's a lot. And I just don't know what my purpose is. And then reading this book and it's these people that were a part of his life or in his life like from a distance, but you know, he influenced them or they influenced him, seeing them explain his purpose and his life to him. Because yes, your life is your life, but sometimes you can't see it from the outside. It's very internal. So seeing it from someone else's point of view does show a lot of who you are. You don't know your impact. And this just shows you that people do have an impact and that most people go through their life wanting to know their purpose, and it does get explained to you later in life. And personally, I'm like, that's what I would want to happen. I would want people to be like, you were doing good. You're good. Your life wasn't meaningless. You weren't just living it or thriving. You had a reason. So that definitely interests me a lot, and it definitely made it a very fun book, very touching. So I highly recommend. I hopefully did not get too deep there. Sorry if I did. But yeah, that is the August wrap up, and that is it for us. So let's do another little like quick, the books that I actually read, not also the DNFs, but there we go. 4 books down. I wish I annotated these 2 books, but I didn't because I didn't have little like tabbies with me. But yes, all right guys, so that is it for me today. I love y'all. Mwah. Subscribe, put on that notification bell, like, comment. I love y'all. Mwah. And have a wonderful day. Bye bye.